Keith Urban is a rolled gold international superstar. Over his long and successful career, Keith Urban has made some really amazing sounds which have earned him a really large followership, engraving his name in gold in the music scene. Looking at his numerous successes, it's quite difficult to tell the struggles that he has had to face over his lifetime. From destructive habits to a life-threatening accident and personal losses, Keith's life stands out as a true show of resilience and an unbreakable spirit. Care to learn more about these tragedies? Just stick with us for a bit. Keith Urban is a country music star who has enticed his fans with his magical fingers on the guitar, stirring lyrics, and amazing stage persona. He was born Keith Lionel Urban on the 26th of October, 1967 in Howrah, New Zealand, later relocating to Caboolture, Queensland, Australia in his childhood. He grew up to be an internationally acclaimed musician, and his story is that of passion, persistence, and undeniably natural talent. His father, Robert Urban, was instrumental in building his musical career right from an early stage. Being a country music fan, Robert introduced Keith to the works of legends like Johnny Cash, Glen Campbell, and Don Williams. It is this proximity to country music legends that built an invaluable fondness within Keith for the genre. The first instrument Urban ever had was a ukulele his dad gave him when he was 4. At age 6, he began to play the guitar, and even at that young age, it was pretty clear he had a natural touch playing it. He would practice trying to master the complex styles of his heroes. His father further encouraged these aspirations by signing him up for local talent shows, even going so far as to place an ad in his shop window in search of a guitar teacher for Keith. His father not only instilled in him a love for country music but also values such as hard work and determination. It was Robert who inspired Keith to dream big but reminded him of the effort it would take to succeed in the competitive world of music. Such encouragement proved priceless. As Keith started getting into the musical world, his teenage years were filled with country music festivals and competitions. By his young adult years, he began to play in bars and clubs to get experience and start building a name for himself as a talented musician. With this amazing mix of traditional country influences with rock and incredible guitar skills, Urban secured his place among his peers. Keith Urban's big break came when he started appearing in various Australian television talent shows in the late 1980s. This upsurge in his popularity led to his own self-titled debut album Keith Urban in 1991, released in Australia only. While that album wasn't an international success, it showed his further potential and included several tracks that would be revisited later in his U.S. career. It wasn't until 1992 that Urban made that courageous call to relocate to Nashville, Tennessee, the country music center. Besides longing to make a name for himself in Nashville, adjustment to the U.S. music scene was quite a problem for him. All the rewards of Urban's relentless work ethic paid off when he gradually managed to build connections within the industry. He started out first and foremost as a session guitarist, playing on other artists' records, which honed his craft and gave him credibility. His self-titled album Keith Urban came in 1999 and launched him into the American scene. This album came with a few hits like But for the Grace of God, where he merged his talents in integrating traditional country sounds with that of pop rock. This record was commercially rewarding as it gave him wide exposure and classified him among the up-and-coming stars. In 2002, Urban released Golden Road, which marked a turning point in his career. The album included chart-topping singles like Somebody Like You and You'll Think of Me. The latter earned Urban his first Grammy Award for Best Male Country Vocal Performance. Golden Road was a critical and commercial triumph, solidifying Urban's status as a country music heavyweight. Normally, Keith Urban's work represents country pop and rock in its combined sound, where his guitar plays a main role. This seamless integration has given him a broader appeal than to the traditional country music listener. Most of the time, Keith Urban writes of love, resilience, and personal growth. It is through this that he gets to attach himself to every fan worldwide emotionally. For his works, he has an array of iconic albums that have left their mark in the music world, including Days Go By and Making Memories of Us, both of which made it to #1 on the country charts. Be Here became one of Urban's best-selling albums and won a number of awards, including the CMA Award for Album of the Year. With Fuse, Urban picked up some more contemporary sounds including Miranda Lambert and Eric Church, amongst others. Songs like Little Bit of Everything and Cop Car showed he could keep himself relevant in an ever-changing music world. Also with Graffiti You, Urban kept pushing the creative boundaries, marrying country music with pop and R&B influences. It included songs like Coming Home featuring Julia Michaels, proving he could create magic from collaborations. In the course of his career, Keith Urban has earned numerous awards including 4 Grammys, 15 Academy of Country Music Awards, and 13 CMT Awards. In 2012, he was inducted into the Grand Ole Opry, one of the highest honors that could be bestowed on a country artist. Urban has also been recognized for his philanthropy with numerous groups dedicated to advancing music education and cancer research. Besides being a musician, Urban turned into a television personality. From 2012 to 2016, he judged the very popular American Idol show, during which his constructive critiques and warm demeanor appealed to the audience. This show presented him to a wider audience and made him a household name. He is also fairly well known for his marriage to actress Nicole Kidman. Together, the two have been married since 2006 and have been uniquely recognized for their nearly 2-decade-long marriage that is marked by great respect and encouragement of each other through their respective careers. Urban has often credited Kidman with helping him through his personal demons, one of which was his substance addiction. Brilliant, talented, and hardworking, Keith Urban moved from an Australian small-town boy into a world superstar. His songs topped the lists and went on to inspire millions of his fans and young musicians. Able to change with time and never lose his roots, Urban will surely be remembered for generations. However, even with all the success as a country music icon, Keith Urban's journey to the top was no less bumpy. He went through personal turmoil with substance abuse but got into a relationship that changed his life forever. With his wife Nicole Kidman, that Urban was able to sail through it all proves he is strong and that he also has a strong support system. The addiction battle for Keith Urban began in early life. Being a young musician in Australia, Urban was enticed by the usual rock and roll lifestyle. Trying to make a name for oneself in the competitive music industry, together with the high-pressure environment of live performances, became intense reasons for Urban to decide to get involved in drugs and alcohol. By the time he had relocated to Nashville in the early 1990s, his substance abuse had begun to take its toll on his personal and professional life. Feeling isolated and homesick, trying to make a name for himself in a foreign country really took its toll on an already difficult struggle that Urban was going through. Though he kept up a show of success, the addiction was gnawing away at his health and his relationships. In 1998, following the release of his first American album entitled Keith Urban, he checked into rehab for the first time. He finally said his addiction had reached a point where it was interfering with his ability to function. The experience helped him stay sober for some time, but the pressures of fame and the demands of his career soon had him hitting the bottle again. He went to rehab for the second time in 2006, and it was just about immediately after he married Nicole Kidman. His addiction reappeared and interfered with both his career and also the newlywed glow of the couple. Kidman staged an intervention. She knew that he had set off on a course of self-destruction and needed help. This time, Keith surrendered to rehab with a will to overcome his addiction for good. Later, he would credit the relentless support and love of his wife for being his strength as he faced his demons. Urban started staying at the Betty Ford Center for 3 months and went through some underlying issues that had been feeding his addiction. He came out with a better understanding of himself and with a resolution to stay sober. Since then, Urban has continued to be open about the struggles, discussing the addictive challenges in most interviews. He also says that a mix of therapies, good people around him, and his love for music have contributed to his continued sobriety. It is apparent that through the sharing of his struggle, Urban has inspired many of his fans. His marriage to Nicole Kidman has been an anchor in Urban's personal and professional stability. The two met in 2005 at a Day USA gala in Los Angeles and instantly clicked. They married in June of 2006 in Sydney, Australia, in a very romantic ceremony. Kidman has been instrumental in Keith's life, and the way many put it, she's been his anchor to stability and reason to fight his addiction head-on. Urban spoke of how her belief in him gave him the courage to take a chance on rehab and commit to it. The marriage, however, has not been without its set of problems. He said his addiction tested their marriage in the early years. However, Kidman's patience and understanding saw them through these difficulties. A shared commitment to each other and to family has been a source of strength for both of them. Another harrowing experience that Keith Urban had to go through in 2007 was an accident when he was being chased by a paparazzi. This was a Tuesday afternoon in Sydney when the country star was on his motorcycle. A photographer, desperate enough to get a shot of him, began to follow him closely, weaving in and out of traffic. In an attempt to evade the paparazzi, Keith lost control of his bike in one of those turns. The bike slipped from Urban's hands and went into a skid off the road. He came out with minor bruises from that accident but was quite shocked. The incident highlighted one of the dangers of invasive, sometimes dangerous tactics by the paparazzi to get celebrity pictures. Urban openly criticized such behavior, citing his vulnerability and that of others in traffic. This incident also resonated with Urban's commitment to putting safety and well-being ahead of the pressures of fame. From fighting addiction to succumbing to the pressure of celebrity life, the moments of vulnerability and courage are just part of his journey. Through all of it, Urban has remained very grounded, on more than one occasion usually giving credit to his family, friends, and fans for being the major push he has. Urban's experiences have also informed his music, with themes of struggle, redemption, and gratitude appearing frequently in his songs. Tracks like Days Go By and You'll Think of Me resonate deeply with listeners, offering a glimpse into the personal battles he has faced and overcome.